waiting on the attorney.
Yeah.
Don't blame me. Passing the buck here. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the December 7th afternoon session of the Board of County Commissioner meeting. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, gentlemen, the first thing we have on our agenda are the minutes. Do you have any additions or corrections?
I do not. I would move that we approve the minutes of November 23rd, 2001.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the proceedings of the Board of Commissioners, Montezuma County, November 23rd, 2021. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 No. You can't get nothing done if you're not here.
Okay, next on our agenda is planning, and number one, I am going to recuse myself, and I will leave the room, and I will turn it over to you, Commissioner Lee.
All righty. Planning Department, right ahead.
All right, so Spencer Smith is requesting a variance to the minimum 3-acre parcel size per the land use code, and Ernie Manus is here as his agent and can explain in more detail a little bit on what's going on there.
Okay.
Good afternoon.
Hi, Ernie.
Yes.
Hello.
Spencer recently bought the Ertel Ranch. I'm sure you're aware of that. And right here, the site that we're looking at is where Luis Ruiz, his ranch foreman, has lived and been there for the last 30 years. But there has never been a deed or a parcel created around his home, as homestead. And so Spencer would like to create a parcel around his homestead. At the same time of construction, Spencer, for the operation of the ranch, wants to build a hay barn right against it to the east. And so what we're trying to do is give Luis Rios, the house site. It's been there for 30 years. If we take that hay barn and include that with the 3 acres, then Luis is responsible for the taxes. And Leslie says there's just no way out of it, the assessor. So we don't want Luis to own the property. So there's about 1.5 acres there we want to get and see if we can't get a parcel for Luis to have ownership of.
Been there 30 years?
Yeah, thereabouts.
Give or take?
Yes. When Walt owned the properties, that's when it was created.
Yeah.
And of course, Keenan took it over. And they've always, Walt, Keenan, and everybody has always said, well, Luis deserves to have a home site there.
Right. Planning. What do you got?
Since this is really an out of the ordinary deal, we're really not against it. In fact, I would say that we're for it. If he's got the 3 acres in the hay barn's probably going to be worth twice as much as the house, so he's paying, triple taxes on the property. I don't know how the assessments work, but yeah, it's kind of a specific scenario that's not normal or that we probably will see again. But as far as planning goes, we don't see an issue with it, just because of the scenario.
Joel?
Well, I don't have a problem with it since it's been there for 30 years. It's not something that we're gonna start allowing in the community
Of course.
under 3-acre lots.
Yeah, that would be my only exception, that this home site was created basically before the
Prior
land
to
use.
the land use code, yes. Yeah, I would make a motion that we approve this variance of the land use code submitted by Spencer Smith and agent Ernie Manus on the property located at 26780 Road M, Cortez, Colorado.
And I'll second that. So it's been moved and seconded to approve the variance to the land use code for a lot presented by Ernie Manus for property located at 26780 Road M, Cortez, Colorado, consisting of 247.62 acres, more or less, located south of Road M, Highway 145. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Arnie. Of course. You doing the survey, Brian?
Brian will do the survey.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you, Ernie.
All we do is sign stuff now, huh?
We have, item 2 is just a signature on the special, after the fact, special use permit for farmers, but, we can go ahead and address the item number 3, the boundary line adjustments, just so we can do all the signing at one time, if that works for you guys.
Sounds good.
All right, so, the Jarretts, and Honekers, they all live, they're, together north to south. Joel Jarrett would like to do a boundary line adjustment with Honekers on the north to, align the property line with the existing fence line. And then as far as with his dad, Sam, he would like to do the same thing on the south edge of his property to align the property lines with the fence line. And Shaq, if you'll scroll down, I think there's a picture that basically shows the two strips of property. I mean, that it's not a lot of acreage, but it gets things lined up so that property lines fit to the fence lines.
So was this just because it wasn't surveyed properly, or because, where did Ernie just go? Or because they read from north to south and south to north? I mean.
Yeah, I don't know if they started there with a section corner and got off from the start there. I'm not sure. Like I say, I don't know when the fencing and who did the fencing or when it went in, but yeah, obviously they missed it twice. It's not quite symmetrical though, so it's not like they worked north to south or south to north. They just had a bust or guessed or couldn't find the monuments they needed to. I'm not sure.
Said this looks good.
Yeah. Or the fence builder went out there and, from A to B, he wandered off course. You never know.
Okay. All right, gentlemen.
I move we approve and sign the plats for the boundary line adjustment submitted by Joel and Cassandra Jarrett, Sam and Julie Jarrett, and Justin and Jim Honaker on properties located at 19710 Road 19, 19670 Road 19, and to be determined Road W, Lewis.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the boundary line adjustment submitted by Joel and Cassandra Jarrett, Sam and Julie Jarrett, and Justin and Jim Honaker on properties located at 19710 Road 19, 19670 Road 19, and to be determined Road W, Lewis, Colorado. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And there's a separate plat for each boundary line adjustment, so we've got two plats covering those
Okay,
boundary line adjustments.
you ready?
The other items, we've got Zane Odell's high-impact special use permit, and then we have the plat for the amendment to Joe and Rita Fowler's subdivision that was approved 2 or 3 weeks ago.
For signature.
So we've got all that here.
Lunch.
-160 is the number. Okay. Any other signatures required?
That's all I've got for today.
Okay. Do you have anything else at all?
Not specifically.
Okay. All right, very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Don.
Thanks, Don.
Next on our agenda is a public comment session. The Board of County Commissioners welcomes you to this meeting. Person speaking during public comment will be limited to 3 minutes, or depending on the number of people wishing to speak, it may be reduced to allow all members of the public the opportunity to address the board. When addressing the board, please state your name and address for the record prior to providing your comments. Comments to individual supervisors or staff are not permitted, and participants may not yield their time. And with that, the public comment session is open. Okay, seeing none, I will close the public comment session of this, and we'll move right straight down to Jerry Frizzell and our liquor license renewals. Good afternoon.
Try it, there you go. I have a liquor license renewal for American Incorporated at 10223 US Highway 491 in Cortez. And there's no report for any violations.
Okay.
There is two. You guys screwed it up.
Okay.
So we just have this one and this one. So it's
Okay.
simple.
All right. You'll have to go ahead and,
Yeah,
who wants?
I'll do. I move we approve the liquor for fermented malt beverage license renewal application for Maverick Inc. at 10223 Highway 491 Cortez.
No, second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to renew the malt beverage license renewal application for Maverick Incorporated, located at 10223 US Highway 491, Cortez, Colorado. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I think this is for Cortez. It says we're gonna have one fiber contract.
Oh, I guess I have to go to the office. I know my brother, he's here.
Okay, next we are going to move to a Ward fiber contract. Shaq or Ian, what? Oh,
Jim, if you want to come up, and those contracts were opened yesterday, or the proposals were opened yesterday. Kim, they're in your file. We received two, one from Farmers Telephone and one from 2210 Cortez. We did review the contracts, and there is a 15% difference in the split. 2210 is a 50-50 split, and Farmers is a 35-65 split.
so do you have an overview or anything else for us? Obviously, we didn't see the,
Correct. Jim and I opened them yesterday, and Jim has reviewed
They were
them.
pretty similar for the most part. The only, I did have a couple questions asked about it, and one of them came from 2210, and they mentioned to keep in mind that they are a carrier neutral, so they're not going to be playing any favoritisms in the ISPs, which was, kind of always what we were leaning towards, that we wanted to make sure that this stayed fair for everybody. So, other than that, it's really just came down to a revenue cost, what the revenue was.
okay,
And, even if we're looking at the local preference, both companies are local. So it's really hard to throw that one out there.
Well, and even if there was a local preference, it's a 5%, and
So, I don't have anything in front of me, Shaq, so I don't even know what.
Ms. Kim has those.
Oh,
I
okay,
was
you
trying
got
to-
it.
I'd like a chance to review.
And I
this.
believe that representatives from both are here if you have any questions for them before you make your final determination.
What is your recommendation? Your recommendation is?
Jim?
Well, Shaq and I had a conversation. Our recommendation is to go with 2210.
Okay. Okay. So, just to be fair to the commissioners, since none of us have actually seen the proposal, if we go ahead and, there's nothing like pending that we have to make this decision today, is there?
No, not necessarily. I think that, certainly we've got the agreement with the city, and I think that the quicker that we can move forward on this, the better. I think it would.
And I can answer that a little bit. There are, right now that I know of, because I got a call from a couple places last week, but there are 4 customers in the south of town waiting for you guys to make this decision so they can get some internet going down there. Because we've been putting this off, and they just would like to get hooked up.
Okay. Well, give us a few minutes here.
Absolutely.
You've looked at both of the proposals.
This here, they're gonna give us 35%.
So this is the same as what we sent to us the first time.
Did you look through them again?
That's what I'm saying.
They just opened them yesterday.
I think we need to give Ian a chance to look at them.
I think so too. So I think what we have right now in front of us is we have a proposed, or we have a,
2 proposals.
2 proposals and one with an obvious better proposal to the county. So until the attorney looks at them, I think that we'll put this off until, and I hate to say this, but I want to give him enough time and at least give us enough time instead of just scanning through a couple of papers here in, 2 or 3 minutes, that we're going to put this off until next Tuesday. We obviously have the recommendations of who to go with, and that the proposal is obviously better to the county, so there is an apparent bidder that's better than the other. But until the attorney has the opportunity to look at it,
I'd like a chance to read through it too.
then we can look through it.
Oh,
So
I would
if you
expect no
guys are
less.
okay, let's just put this
Yeah.
on the unfinished business for next week, Shaq?
Got it?
Okay.
Seems reasonable to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We will make that award next Tuesday. Okay, next we're gonna go with the Health Department and DocuSign signatures. Ladies.
So first, okay, am I on? First thing I have here is the letter that I need Commissioner Candelaria to sign as the chairman. This is in regards to, and I did send this to you, Shaq, I think. It's just a letter for our tobacco prevention, education prevention program. So basically what's happened is our employee has resigned, and her last day on the job is January 6th. So we had a conversation with the state in regards to this contract. It is an underfunded program. It is a prevention program that no longer provides direct services, and it is focusing on policy installation. So we are taking this opportunity to step back out of the contract so that we can focus on some other things. And then we're gonna watch and be in communication with the state, because when we were able to give direct services and help people with classes, cessation classes and things like that, I think it was a very successful program in our community. But we haven't been able to accomplish all the things that they set as the bar for us to accomplish. So it's an opportunity for us to reevaluate, and it is definitely an underfunded program as well. So we're opting out, unfortunately, but we will stay in communication so that we can maybe opt in the future when they kind of change the goals a little bit. So.
Okay.
And I need, it has a lot of information like contract number, project title. Requested termination date will be January 31st so that we can pay out our employee fully, even though her last day of employment is 26th, you know. And then all expenses will be paid for by the 31st. So, okay. So that's what this is. I have two copies there, so that if you sign both of them, I can just give Kim one.
And Bobby, this program was to help people stop using tobacco?
Correct, yeah. And it's a good program, but through the years, they've changed their focus.
Right.
Their focuses for our community are a little more challenging.
Well, and the
and
tobacco tax never worked the way it was supposed to.
So there's just a lot of variables, and we looked at, you know, we always have to be looking at the entire department and what we're doing and what we can be most effective with our education prevention techniques. And so,
Was there, and I don't know that I'll get an answer for this right away, and if you don't have one, that's okay. Was there useful information in the program that could transfer over to helping people quit abusing other substances if it was modified? Okay,
no.
thanks.
I had asked that a while back in regards to marijuana,
Okay.
and tobacco usage. Some oftentimes go hand in hand. They're completely separate. So
Okay.
that was not able to be utilized for other things.
Okay.
Well, here's the other point too that we have to remember is that we're looking at enough unfunded mandates, even underfunded mandates are not.
This is just another example of
It's just
them, yeah.
another example of more for us to take on. So I appreciate you, although I think it's a great program, and if you have that addiction, you need to try and reach out for some help somewhere. I mean, with any addiction, but still, we have to quit. We have to quit paying for that.
I totally hear what you're saying, but, I mean, this is not a core service, this is not a mandated program.
Correct.
Okay, so it's not technically an unfunded mandate, it's an underfunded program.
Correct.
Definitely. So,
Not a mandate,
yeah.
underfunded program. So if we kept it, we would still have to fund it in
Fund
its
it.
entirety, which
And-
is,
And there's zero
we just
direct
can't.
services that you can provide. There's
Right.
not any, and their hands are tied at the state level. That's why when they distribute the funds, it's not enough. So, because they don't have enough funding to do the work that they're asking for. And so because of that, plus the employee leaving, plus, you know, all these, you know, just looking at the big picture. I
Right.
think that we have an obligation to do that.
step back at this
Mhm.
point in time and maybe
Right.
look at it
Right.
in the future.
I really appreciate you looking at those mandates
Oh,
like
sure.
that, those underfunded ones, and letting us know.
Yeah, it's-
We're gonna reach a point in time where we can't do all that they want us to do.
And years ago, when we had tobacco cessation classes, we did all those things. And we were very successful with that. We had a lot of participation. That works in our community. But when you're really focusing on policy development, that's not necessarily successful here. So, anyway, that was kind of our option. We had to, like I said, talk to the state about it. They understand this completely, and the contract will end on the 31st of January, so.
Okay.
All right,
Thank you.
so then the other
Thank you.
thing was just single entry point, and the contract that you were sent through DocuSign was an amendment to the existing contract for options for long-term care. I'm going to step aside and let Tim tell you real briefly what those amendments are. We've read it all. We're good with what the amendments are. There's no issues with them. So.
Okay.
And I looked that amendment over too. I mean, from a legal standpoint, there's nothing that raises red flags. I mean, certainly, it's the health department's choice whether the amendments are a good or bad thing, but there's nothing that raises a red flag legally.
Okay, good. All right,
So let me give you a rundown real quick.
you bet.
Jim, options for long-term care, my co-supervisor Deanna. They're really not changing a whole lot. They're just adding a requirement for us to train on the new information technology system they're bringing out for us. It's just software that the state's worked up for us. So just mandating that we go through that training. We're adding a deliverable that we need to do for this state. So that would be for our continuous quality improvement plan. We want to implement that. That'll be due yearly, and also they're going to modify our monitoring requirements. So when we reach out to our clients, they're going to make the second monitoring requirement we do every year an option to have that be virtual instead of in face-to-face. It can be either or. So really, you're not changing a whole lot, just tweaking it a little bit.
So we're going to monitor the monitors now.
That's right, yeah. Precisely.
We gotta have that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all.
Okay,
All I have to say. Any questions?
Appreciate it.
Of course,
thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you, guys. And gals. Okay, we'll move right into Public Works now, and we have Road and Bridge. We have Mr. Engelhardt.
Morning, afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I was not gonna do that either. How are you?
We had to change.
Yeah.
A little bit of a change.
Yeah. It messed up my mornings and afternoons, but yeah, that's good. So first thing is schedule. There it is on that screen. So the work activities for December, kind of starting to cruise down a little bit for the winter. We're crushing down on McCalmo. That big job we're doing right now is for that landfill on that slide area. I don't think it's gonna be a lot of tonnage, but we've got the screens in and we're started crushing on that. It's a 2.5 inch class 1 CDOT spec, so we're making that material. And we're gonna bring some of that up and put it in that new yard area we bought south of the old shop there. We're gonna make a stockpile area out of that corner there. So we're working on getting that all put together here while we got a little time this fall. We're also wrapping up the realignment, which I've got some pictures to share with you today on Road 20, where we did that realignment. We're wrapping that up this week and getting out of there. There'll be a lot of brush removal, tree trimming, fencing type work to do this winter. Depends on the snow. If we get a lot of snow, that'll even balance out with snow plowing. That'd be kind of the activities we'll look at through the winter on that kind of stuff. And then, of course, we're anticipating some snow removal as early as this weekend. So we may be out with trucks and blades this weekend, we hope. So maybe we're gonna get some winter started. So that's pretty much a rundown for December and where we're at for the month of December. So,
Yeah, that realignment on 20 looks really good.
yeah, we're really happy with that. I'm very, very happy with the way that came out. And I think we're gonna have a real nice road there for everybody to use now.
You see the new fence got tore down already?
No.
Somebody's wild bull out on the road tore out a bunch of that brand new fence that Terry and them put up.
Don't
So do we have the,
Yes.
so do we have that
Miles
old
and-
road tore out? And the old road?
Oh, there's the roads.
Is that
Okay, yeah.
kinda-
So see, that was, we started that October 7th, that picture there.
Mhm.
And that we're breaking ground and we're getting ready to realign and put that new culvert in. So that was where we started. And you can see the dog leg left, that was an old culvert there. It was about a 5-foot culvert that was just about ready to collapse. We were gonna do one thing or the other. We were gonna build a new road and put a new culvert in. So we decided to go ahead and shoot straight across. Go ahead and stand. Just a little bit more of a different angle there on that opening up. Just wrapping up, putting the culvert in there. It's 100 foot of 5-foot culvert through there. We put 5 joints in and then flow filled it in, and now we're bringing the dirt over the top.
The inlet is higher than the outlet, right?
Which way does that go again?
You know, well, you mentioned that. I'm going to stop you on this because I want to make this public address. I actually had a comment about that culvert again to me this last week. And once I explained it to them why we had to go from point A to point B to get the water turned back on because it was one of the driest years we've had in history, and we needed the water moving, that's why it was going from a floor to a floor. Our road department is way smarter than knowing you don't flow uphill, people. It was an extreme circumstance, and it's kind of irritating when you hear it out in the public that our road department doesn't even know what they're doing. And I want to correct that because it was a circumstance of, after all of the investigation that we did, was you had no other place to go with it, and the water flowed just fine, and now it's being corrected properly with the help of MVI once they fix their structure. So for the public, our road department knows what they're doing, and they put the culvert in to accommodate the flow of water that has nothing to do with the county, but to get it to the citizens of the county and to make it work until we had time when the irrigation water was shut off. So I'll stop there. I heard that again this weekend. It just
You're right.
irritates me.
It was done in less than 24 hours.
Well, and
Which
you
was
can't
amazing.
shut a irrigation ditch off for a couple weeks to fix a deal in the middle of a drought, so
So we
So
have
anyway.
one more citizen that's smarter than it was yesterday.
maybe.
Maybe.
Anyway, thank you guys for getting the water turned back on in the time that you did.
Yeah. Well,
And
yeah, and to follow up, MVI has got their new structure in, and the new culvert's put back in, and it flows downhill. How about that?
Everything's-
So, everything's good. So-
Great.
So anyway, back to the pictures. So there we're roads in, gravelled, the new alignments in, and everything's spread out. We hired a dozer to come in and spread the topsoil for us. And currently today, we're looking at a seeder to look at seeding it this fall before it gets too bad, and then we get some seed on it. That ditch there where that riprap is where the old culvert was at, so you can see the change. And we just matched profiles to the pastures and skinned off all the old gravel and rock and put topsoil over everything, and we're gonna seed it this fall, we hope, and job well done. And there's a final kind of a picture of south looking north.
Yeah, it does, it's really nice.
yeah,
There's a lot of guys that drove through the whole job, and I thought it went well because we detoured everybody on the old road. We kept everybody on the old road. We built this whole thing and never shut the traffic off, which was, really good. So we started October 7th and wrapped up. We turned the traffic onto it last week. So basically, we had a rain event that shut us down for a couple days, a couple holidays. We did the whole thing in less than 4 weeks, and never had to shut the traffic off. And it was a good job. So guys are proud of it, and I just thought I'd let you see some pictures today. So.
well, it looks real good. Obviously, I didn't see the gravel on it the last time I went and did the
No, we were
inspection
just
with
getting
you,
ready to
but
start graveling when you were there visiting, yeah, so.
Looks super good.
So the transitions worked out well at the ends, and then that new fence, and Joel, you better not be lying.
I'm not.
When did this happen? Like the last hour?
2 or 3 days ago.
Oh, so they fixed it already?
Yeah.
Oh,
Somebody's
Terry didn't
blower
tell me
got
this
out,
story.
He was going down the road and he picked that brand new fence to jump through instead of all the old fence he could have jumped
he
through.
could have went left and hit the old fence.
Yeah.
Oh, boy, okay. Well, I didn't know this story,
Yeah,
no.
Terry was mad. He said, "What am I gonna do with that bull?"
Hamburger?
Yeah.
Okay, well, anyway, the fence is back. I didn't even know this, so this
Yeah,
is
they tore
interesting.
it down, so.
He must have jumped right on and got his fence guy to fix it real quick. Yeah, cool, that's a funny story. Anyway, road's done, and it's scheduled to get chip sealed next spring when we do our chip seal, and we're gonna put a layer over the whole road and then put 3 layers on that section there, and that'll just tie everything together. But we'll go through the winter without chip seal now and just let it settle in, so that's where we're at, so. DOLA tomorrow, for you that are interested, it's on Zoom. Our time slot is about 10:45 plus or minus. If you're interested in watching, you should be on at least 15 to 20 minutes early just in case, because they do slide them times around a little bit depending on how the conversations go with the other counties, so.
Is that for our 7-minute
Yes.
presentation?
Mhm.
Or
Yeah, our PowerPoint
would
presentation.
you
to
send
the
me
committee.
that link?
Yeah, it should be just, yeah, one of us will get it to you, so.
Okay.
And then we wrapped up CCI this last previous week, you guys were there, and our CARS part of it, Colorado Engineering and Road and Bridge Superintendent meetings we had were very productive, and it was good to get back together. You know, we missed last year with COVID, and it was good to see everybody that was there that I knew, and everybody was alive and healthy and doing well. You know, it was kind of fun. And actually, for the first time, I really enjoyed this year. It was good to get to talk about new ideas and things we had. We had some great presentations, some new information that come out over. One of the new things was the legislature did change the law for us. The governor signed off on it on that calling in all your locates
811.
on the roads. So I wanted to thank you, the commissioners, for writing those letters. They were a great support to our staff that worked on that with the legislature and got them laws changed. And as of June 1st, we will go back to just doing our road maintenance as usual. Any extra digging or anything obviously still falls under the same rules. We have to do our call-in locates, but we will be able to blade the roads now without all that other additional work we were doing. So thank you, commissioners, for the letters and all that, because it was needed, or we wouldn't have got it. So, and I don't remember what county it was, but they did a complete half-a-mile stretch of blading the road to prove to the oil companies that every time you blade the road, it doesn't lower the road, because they had it in their head that every time you shaved it off, it was just getting closer and closer and closer to that pipe. You know, we drive across America in ruts, you know. So, and you talk about that one person about that culvert, well, that's how things go. And once that kind of stuff gets started, that's to the extreme it went, you know. So they did a test section, and they got all the legislature and the oil and gas companies out there at the same time, and they all shook their head and said, oh, okay, we see what you're doing. And of course, the governor signed it, so good job. So with some conversation about education, that is a pretty good program. We got to see a lot of that, because what it is it's a highway maintenance management plan. They really go after those that are working in the counties that are wanting to further their educations. And through Front Range Community College, they've created a program where you can gain credits for working while you go to school online. If the county is willing to help pay for the credit or pay for the classes, fine. If not, do it yourself. But you can get a degree, business or whatever you're after, and use your work as part of your credits. So it does open up doors in the future. They hope to see high school kids that are interested in trades jump on this kind of stuff, maybe go to work for the county as an intern, help pay for their schooling while they're doing this, and get a degree while they're doing it. So
That was that one lady at that one booth there, wasn't it?
her name is Susan Ballinger.
Yeah.
Ballinger? Yeah.
We
yeah.
stood there and talked to her for quite
Yeah.
a while.
I
She
took
had
her
a
over
she had a
the
tremendous presentation. She was very interesting. She was a lady that she was in Wisconsin that was poor, needed a job. I was out of work, raising 2 kids, single, and got a job working for a county road department, and just flourished. You know, so complete good success story. Good lady. Anyway, it's a good deal. And there's also another one called LTAP,
Yeah.
and they're working on some of the same stuff. Not so much with college, but they're working through communications. And one of the things that we brought up in our meeting was we talked about the need that you and I talked about, Jim, as a chat room, so to speak, countywide. Go on there and boom, 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 I'm looking for a dozer, or I've got a problem, and what are you guys doing, or what do you got to offer? And that was one tool that we thought we could really research and use, because it's already there. Instead of trying to dream up our own county website that's hard to do, and somebody has to manage it, and it's a lot of trouble, but there it is. So she's working on that for us. So we hope in the next year to go back to our CARS meetings and have something positive out of that. So it's just good meetings all the way around for us. So I'm glad I went.
You know, when you talk about that, the tour we did Monday morning in Buena Vista, you know, for workforce, this is kind of training your workforce. And the workforce they use there, they have the correction center. So they're pulling those guys, I think they said the last 2 to 3 years of their
3
sentence.
years, and they pay them and put it in an escrow
They
account.
pay them, put it in an escrow account, and when they are released, they have all of those funds for this manufacturing housing that was just, that they've been open for 2 weeks. And it's a
So they got a job when
pretty
they
amazing
come out,
facility.
they've got 3 years
Right.
worth of wages saved up, and
so they can rent a house, they can get a vehicle, it's a pretty good deal. Obviously, they're nonviolent offenders, but it's
that was a heck of a
It's-
program.
it's using that workforce, because here again, workforce, everybody's having to reach out to do different things for workforce. So I like that it's an educational tool, and it's a way to develop workforce that we don't have.
Yep. Well, it's a problem. I mean, it's all phases of construction, from one end to the other, are short of people. I'm sure other businesses are too, but I'm focused on construction, obviously. But last 4 or 5 years, have used high school kids in the summer and just kind of nonchalantly grabbed a couple of kids out of school and looking for jobs. But now the school actually is reaching out. I think they contacted you too, Shaq, on some information about coming in and visiting with their kids at school about, here's what we need in this business. Here's how you get educated. Here's how you go on, or just be a tradesman. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, you might make $100,000 a year hanging iron, you know? It's pretty good living.
Yeah.
So don't think you gotta.
$500,000 in college debt.
Exactly,
to pay
yeah,
back after
exactly, and be a $30,000 a year teacher, you know? It just doesn't make sense anymore when there's all these good trades out there starving for good people. So, I mean, it's happening now. Like, sounds good to me that we're actually working back and forth between the two different entities to get this stuff out there, so. Because I've had a ball with the high school kids. There's some of them, you know, don't want to ever work this business again. Good, go find something else, that's fine. But the ones that do, they may go to college and get an engineering degree or whatever, or they might just be a tradesman. There's nothing wrong with that, you know? So, good luck with our kids.
We are very lacking in the tradesmen, in all areas of the construction. So, it's good to
Well,
hear
you know,
that.
I'm getting pretty old now, I don't remember exactly how it went, but nobody really offered me a college education, so I got a job. I did all right, you know?
Yeah.
And then the ones that got college educations, they did all right, but there was more of a split. Now it seems like you got to go to college to dig a post hole, and that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for tradesmen, but you don't have to go to college for it, you know? You can make a dang good living. Just get a good job and work your way up, too. So, nothing wrong with trades. So, anyway,
Totally agree.
that's about all I got.
Okay.
Any questions?
Well, I had one last question I was going to ask you, but kind of in the area of, I think I said 16 and Y, the
Yeah.
area that was ground up. Obviously, the conversation I had with her with laying down any magnesium chloride is just not going to work in the wintertime now.
No, I
And-
wouldn't advise it.
No, because it's just going to go away. They were okay with that. But again, like, is there any way that we can put, do we have any of the delineators that we use for the, I know typically on asphalt or chip seal for the center of the road, just a few of them where there's a rise, just to delineate the center of it?
We'll just knock it off with snowplows.
It'll just,
Yeah.
yeah, kind of thought so. So
It's a gravel road.
it is.
What's the difference between that and a gravel road? It's a gravel road.
Well, the gravel road or the chip seal road that was there, the statement they said was you always have the line down the center, and that delineates the center line so that we know where we're at in the
Yeah,
road. So-
I understand that when there's a paved road there, but there's not a paved road there, it's gravel.
Correct,
Yeah. I don't delineate gravel roads.
no.
No.
Because that's still going to get chip sealed this spring,
Yeah,
right?
that's what we're hoping tomorrow, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. That's the plan, so,
all right.
yeah. But I wouldn't advise mag chloride. I mean, if this
No,
person
I-
wants it, we can sell it to them and put it on, but they're wasting their money.
No, and I advised them of that also. I
Yeah.
said, we're coming into winter time, it's just going to,
I'm sure today is a lot better day out there than it was yesterday.
You bet.
know, So it's
For
gonna
dust.
get better by the end of the weekend, so, yeah.
okay,
Okay, good.
all right, thanks.
All right, thanks. See
Thanks,
ya.
Rob.
Thanks, Rob.
Next, we have Bonnie Loving, Noxious Weeds.
I'm sorry, what?
Testing.
You have to put it right straight to your,
Yeah,
Yeah, talk like
it's a
on
weak,
Yes.
it's a weak microphone. Won't pick up very good.
Okay, so sorry about our last one. My internet was pretty bad. So I think maybe you guys heard a third of it. Did you study the rest of it?
we did,
You did? Okay,
Yep.
good, because I have some test questions here.
we did,
Ready?
sure.
Just joking. Okay, so just, I guess, a recap of the whole thing. This is grant money that we've received since 2016, total of $751,598. So we've done pretty good at supporting the community for managing noxious weeds. 2022 funding, we were just awarded $50,000 through the Colorado Department of Agriculture Drought Stimulus Grant. So that'll go towards the Fratified project for next year.
We also still have one more year's worth of the Colorado Water Plan grant. That was a 3-year grant that we received, so next year is our last year. $20,833, that'll go toward the ratified project for next year. The RCPP is finally approved. There was an application period that closed December 3rd. I think they got about 15 applications, which is good. I think they're gonna open up applications once a year, so they'll open it again next winter, or maybe even sooner, 6 months, I'm not sure. But I'm glad that that's finally 2 years into it, we're rolling with it. I've applied for the Department of Ag noxious weed grant that we receive every year. I've applied for the habitat grant through the Fish and Wildlife Fund. Applied for Restore Colorado, that's another Fish and Wildlife Fund grant. Then I applied for the Bureau of Reclamation grant, Water Smart. So we won't hear back from those probably until next April. I'm also applying for a GOCO wetlands grant right now for the gratified project. So if you guys hear of any grants, let me know.
And so if those are awarded, we'll have to amend the budget in April.
Okay, so as far as our projects, this is kind of a summary of what we've accomplished in the last few years. Mancos River project, we've treated about 1,600 acres of Russian knapweed. We've reseeded 150 acres. A lot of the areas that the grass is coming back on its own, which is great, but there are still more areas that need to be reseeded. The Weber Canyon project, the state land has been treated twice. Hopefully next year will be a good time to go up there and look at different management techniques of the BLM and then the state land and then the private properties, just to see what it's looking like after that Weber fire and the noxious weeds. Hermana project, that's a new one that just started this year. We treated 57.
We're getting comments that your mic isn't working.
I'm gonna eat it. Can you hear me now?
No.
Let's just switch. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, spotted knapweed project, that's a new one too this year. It's trying to eradicate the spotted and diffuse knapweed within Montezuma County because we don't have too many populations of it. This year we've treated 12 acres. We've treated a lot more than that, but specifically for this project under the funding, we've treated 12 acres. Ratified project, we're at 303 acres treated for the entire period since 2019. We've removed about 50,000 trees. We've saved 707 acre feet of water. The cost share in 2021, we have had 270 applicants. Through those applications that the applicants treated, noxious weeds, I don't know if I said that right, they treated about 3,200 acres of noxious weeds. We've reimbursed $41,015. Backpack loaner program, we gave out 163 backpacks this year, which is amazing. Last year, I think it was 30 to 50. Property visits, we did 54 property visits this year. And then as far as seminars, all we did was the fall applicator training. Okay, so now I am requesting, I think, 3 liens to be put on properties because their enforcement bill was never paid. Or is there 4? There's 4.
Do you want to go over them?
Should I? Okay, the first one, it's for Frontier Contracting on 17921 Road 25. Let's see, did I have a treatment date? It was treated 10/20/2021. The bill was sent within a week of the treatment date, and we have not received payment. The next one is for property 13657 Road 21. It was treated on 10/20/2021. We have not received payment. Property 21035 Road S. We treated on 10/20. We have not received payment. And the final one is for 22486 Road D. It was treated on that same day, 10/20/2021, has not been paid for.
Okay. So those will go on this year's taxes, right, for, well.
For
it'll be in
2022,
but they'll
yep.
be in 21's taxes.
Yeah, the deadline is December 15th to get those in.
I move
All
we-
of these properties trespass, did we award a trespass deal on them to go spray them?
Your right of entry.
Yeah, right of entry.
It's a right of entry.
That sounds a lot better. Yeah, we had a contractor treat the noxious weeds. We billed him for the cost, and it was not paid. We also offer cost share to the enforcement properties so that they can get a break on the herbicide. So that's just another offer we make because we don't like doing enforcement properties. And usually they do pay, but for some reason, we have not received payments on these 4.
Did we kill the weeds?
Hope so.
Me too.
I move we sign the lien request for the 4 properties as presented.
I'll second it.
Okay, so they moved and seconded to move 4 properties forward. One located at 17921 Road 25, Dolores, Colorado. One at 13657 Road 21, Cortez, Colorado. One at 21035 Road S, Cortez, Colorado. And one at 22486 Road D, Cortez, Colorado, to be put on the tax lien for the properties for the noxious weed department's lack of non-payment. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any weed questions in December? Okay. I'm still getting people bring in samples for me to identify, so I guess that's one thing we got going on for us in the drought. Okay, turning this off.
Bonnie, Miss Billy brought out wellness stuff that you want on the drawing. You're welcome. Look at Mel's shirt.
It's working, but it says it's working, but it's not.
Okay, Mel, for landfill.
Okay. It's pretty quiet at the landfill. Jack, do you have our budget or?
That screen doesn't work up there. So.
Okay. So with the scale being put in, which works fantastic, and with what we made for the month, if you can scroll to the last page, Jack. We only went in the whole 15,000 for the month. That's paying for the scale and all the other deals. So it came out, I estimated we'd go about 45,000 in the hole, and we only went 15, so it's a pretty good deal. And I sent you a picture. So that is compost of the first 5 rows that we did this summer. We screened, and thanks to this new screener that we have, I can do one of them piles in less than a day, where it would have taken almost a week with our old machine to do that.
So this is ready to go then? These 5 piles are ready to go?
Well, they're in the curing stage. So probably February, first part of March, I'll do a Solvita test on them. If they're cured, I'll send the samples to the lab. 30, 45 days after that, we should be good to go. I have 3 more piles that are real big that are in the curing stage now that will screen in the spring. So with that, we should have compost throughout the whole summer next year.
How many cubic yards do you have in a pile, do you estimate?
Ooh, I bet each one of those piles is probably 100. They're tall. They're taller than this room.
That's
Almost
good
as tall
garden
as you
stuff,
now.
man.
Oh, it is.
Almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So does it come out of the screen, you just put it on a stacker to get it that,
No, the screen does it itself.
the screen does it?
Yeah, I'll pile it as high as I can to keep it. A couple of them rows, if you look, the one to the left, it looks like it has 2 peaks. It's because there was so much in that row. It got to the top of the conveyor, and that's the nice thing
Move-
about that
move
machine. You
forward.
can just move it
Yeah,
with
perfect.
the remote and the loader.
Good.
So, should be good to go. Sent a letter to CHP or an email to them, letting them know we're moving back into cell 4, which kind of got them in gear because they hadn't approved our final cover on our slopes. And we'll be moving in according to our foreman next week. We've been in cell 3. We're topping it out even with cells 1, 2A, 2B. So because of the delay at CDPHE, we still haven't have approval on the Carver Field plans. We still can't do any dirt work. We are moving some clay over there, stockpiling it, getting ready. But until we get approval, I can't do any dirt work on the Carver Field. That being said, it's probably going to be late summer before we get Carver Field done, depending on what happens. So having cell 3 up and even with those, now we have that whole area for compost for next year. So it gives us some lead
So
time.
we still have a lot of capacity, even though we don't have the 11 acres of the Carver Field? that
We'll
are-
have about twice what we had last year
Good.
with all that done.
How are you doing on your nitrogen stock? Is that what you're really, or the carbon stock? What do you have the least of?
Well, right now we're about even. I mean, the biosolids and the carbon stock it's about even. But working with the Forest Service on the tires at McPhee, we started getting in their first few loads, and they're estimating, I forget what they told me, but it's over 1,000 tires they're going to be bringing us. So I didn't shred tires last year or this year, so this coming spring, I have to shred. We have to do that to be in compliance with the state. So when we rent that shredder, I would like to do another month, probably in the springtime, for spring cleanup of free tree limbs and stuff at the landfill to help the community out. Let them bring it in for a month while we have the shredder there, and we'll shred all of it at one time. So that's kind of where we're at. Other than that, it's a little bit slow. Weather shuts everything down.
Would the carbon stock from aspen wallwood or ironwood, I mean, that would obviously help you. You wouldn't have to do anything with that, would you?
No,
You wouldn't have to shred or do anything.
no.
Have we reached out to them to let them know, Shaq? I mean, I know we've talked about it a lot.
We've told Ironwood that we would take their shredded carbon at no cost.
We have a place to put it. I have 2 areas down there I can stockpile it.
You have a place to put a lot of it, but not all of it.
Well, not all of it, no, because there's a main power line that goes right through the middle of the
Sure.
landfill, and I cannot pile that stuff underneath that power line. So we
Right.
do have some areas I could put a couple different piles.
Well, and they've got about 3 acres, 40, 50 feet deep.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
you don't have that much space.
yeah, that's fact.
Okay, well, I guess it might be worth reaching back out to them.
Maybe reach out to Aspen Wallwood and them too.
I talked to David one time. Last I understood, he was selling all his stuff. So I don't
The
know.
photos we just saw, they're not
They're
selling
starting to
it,
get a
they're
pretty good
pushing it
pile.
right
Are
over
they
the edge
starting-
again, which is gonna create another issue
I don't think they're
again.
pushing it over the edge, but they're piling it. They're,
Well, we'll get with Spratlin, and then between you guys, you can hopefully get
Well,
some.
like Shaq said, that one pile at Ironwood, I can't take all of it. We just don't have that much room at the landfill.
No, but if
could
we
take
could
a
just help them
huge
out by
portion of it.
taking some of it, that
Yeah,
would,
that would be great. Then I don't have to rent a shredder. I don't have to do anything.
Well, at some point you'll still have to rent a shredder because the
Well,
limbs are going to pile up.
True,
correct, but we could utilize it, it could start.
but that material that we looked at being more visible to the public with what we have coming to the landfills for traffic, I think we could sell a lot of it. A lot of people I don't think they know that it's up there because they don't see it. But where they come in the landfill all the time, it's right beside the road, they're gonna see it. We're still selling mulch, sold some yesterday.
Yeah, because that's great stuff.
Yeah.
That's great composting.
It is.
And it's certified. It actually has a certification with it that says it's a certified deal.
Yeah.
So maybe we should get with Spratlin and see if we can't get some of that back down there. I mean, it just helps their cause out
Sure.
before we move anything.
It'd help
else.
everybody.
Okay. Anything else?
I think that's all I.
I think the big question that has to be answered on that I don't believe is the county's responsibility, is transporting it.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
I'm
So-
just saying that if they need a place just to transport some to get rid of it.
transport
Just
it
helps
too,
them
but we
out.
gotta find the hauling end. And I'm not even sure it's our responsibility to find the hauler, but,
No,
Yeah.
we're giving them a place to
Yep.
have it reside at no
Right.
cost. Okay. All right, sounds good.
All right, thank you.
All right, first rounds. Mr. Justin McGuire.
Afternoon.
Good afternoon, Justin.
All right, so our attendance to date out there, 73,061. Income, $90,877.49. This last month, on November 6th, we had a team roping that went good. The commodity had their giveaway that same day. On Veterans Day, November 11th, they did a Native American gourd dance out there, which is the first time we've had anything like that. November 12th to the 14th was a 3-day barrel race that also went good. The 20th to 21st, we were supposed to have the 4 States Junior Rodeo. We did postpone that to January. They were having some issues with people being sick, getting COVID and stuff, so we just thought it was the best interest to kind of postpone that to next year. December 4th was a team roping out there this last weekend that went good, plus another commodity giveaway. For coming up, December 18th, we were going to do a team roping, but they're having the same issue with COVID and stuff, so we're going to probably postpone that to February. That's pretty much all we got set for the rest of this year till January. And also we've had our winter practices Monday through Fridays out there between the youth roping practices, pony club, and the 4-H horse club. Any questions on any of that stuff? Okay. Then I'll get kind of into our platform lift out there, our wheelchair lift. I've been doing some digging on that. I know we're looking at trying to maybe repair that if we can. So I got 2 different people to kind of take a look at it. I got an electrician to look at it, and then we can't get a person in our area that services that brand. But I did get a hold of another place that does elevator service work. They came and looked at it as well. The problem is nobody can get the schematics because they're not dealers for any of this. With that being said, both of the people that I had look at it kind of came up with the same conclusion. We have a communication error in the control board on the tower. So the tower part has a control board, and in the actual platform part has a control board. Those communicate with one another. And then if everything's okay, then it allows that chairlift to go up and down. So that's not what it's doing. It folds out, you can get on it, but it's not going up and down. So with that being said, we've been trying to see if we could find somebody to either repair or replace that motherboard, because that's more likely the issue, according to the 2 people that I've had look at it. I've only been able to find one place that might be able to repair it. So I just wanted to kind of get your guys' insight on whether you want me to go down that road, because we could have other issues later on.
I was out there the day that Jerry was out there looking at it. Who is the manufacturer that put that in for us? Are they still in business, or?
They no longer are in our area. So the ones that put it in are now stationed out of like another state, so they're not in Colorado anymore.
So do they have a local distributor in the state?
The only one they have is in Colorado Springs or Denver area, that does that brand. it's not the same company that put it in, but it's one that does that Garaventa brand.
So have you contacted them?
I have, and I don't even think I can get them down here to look at it.
What about other states like New Mexico, Utah, Arizona?
So talking to some of them, the problem we run into with a lot of this stuff is they have to be Colorado certified. They have to have a state certification to work on these things. So I've been trying to stay in Colorado with that. I know there's nothing close to us in New Mexico that does that as far as that brand. I mean, I could probably get somebody in from like Denver, but then I'm going to have to be paying them service fees just to come down here. You know, probably $1,000 just to come look at it. And then whatever they assess for it.
Well, I would think if you can get a hold of the company out of Colorado Springs that services or sells that brand, and it may not be fixable. I mean, those computers just may be shot.
Well,
But then
exactly.
they would have at least something that they could at least give you a cost on.
Well-
So have you asked that question? Just what is another one?
As far as
What does another one cost?
a new one,
Well,
like
we
if
have
we
to
just
have-
put in a brand new stair lift,
Yeah.
then we're looking at around 30 to 40,000.
Was that just an approximation from them?
No,
or
I had an actual quote on one
from
that-
this company?
from the company that I had come look at it, which is out of Grand Junction.
Okay.
They've actually gave me a quote on it. I also got a quote out of a place in Colorado Springs to come put one in. It was a bit more as far as their quote price, but that's the range we're looking at, 30 to 40,000.
So as far as ADA, I have a question for you, because if we don't allow that to be utilized, I mean, I know if it's utilized up there at all, we have to have that, we have to have something that's operable, but is
If it's
there-
not open to the public,
if it's not, but it's a public building, I guess that's where my,
I'd have to do a little bit of research on that distinction, honestly. I don't know off the top of my head whether, if you close a portion of a public building, whether that alleviates the need to have ADA requirements and a lift up there or not. I can certainly look at that and get back to you. I just don't know off the top of my head.
I mean, ultimately, I think there are a lot of displays that they put in that upper area, right?
Yeah, the problem with that is that accesses our crow's nest up there, which is being used by every rodeo, barrel race, team roping. They got to go up those stairs, so you have to have access. Those two rooms, we do, different things such as, Hunter Ed has courses up there. Yep, we got meetings up there. Some of the people that rent that whole building, they kind of stage their stuff up there. It's not used a lot for the public to go up there and look around anymore, such as a fair and things like that, but it is used by quite a few people.
Used to be when the fair was big, they had
They had a bunch of
all
like,
kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
All the
That's where they
furniture
did
stuff
and-
was up
Yeah,
there.
that's where they did their
displays.
clothes and
All
their
that
big
stuff.
goods and rockets and
And there might be a day where they have to get back to that as well. If they keep getting bigger and get more things going in there, they might have to start utilizing that part again. The problem is we don't have handicap access up to it. If we
I
don't have
guess, look into that, Ian, and see where we're at, because then we'll make a decision on where we need to, if we actually,
But if there is one place that I found out of Maryland that will replace or repair our board, They won't replace it, but they said I could send ours in. It would cost $375 for their labor. They're telling me they can repair it. I don't know what the parts would cost to repair it. We could be looking at, up to, $600 worth of parts or something. So we could be looking at $1,000, but that doesn't guarantee that that's going to fix all our problems with this lift if that comes back and it does make everything work, because then what we have to do is we have to have a state inspector come in.
Right.
They got to put weights and everything on it, and if it doesn't pass that, we're back in this same boat where, we might have to replace it. But we do have that option we can try if we want to put a little bit more money into it. I just don't know.
I think if we're only, I think up to $1,000, it would be worth a try to see if it'll pass it, but then after that, then we're gonna have to
Yeah,
figure out what we want, put it out to bid, because it's definitely gonna be
I know it.
over the requirements so that we can get the bid process going. But Ian, if you'll take a look at that as far as
Okay.
ADA requirements, because if we don't actually, I just don't know if you can close the public building.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. I'll look at it and get you an answer back.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask you a really basic, easy question.
One of my office buildings, I would say that we had the same issue. They did allow us to close
I
off
gotta
the top of
stop you, Terry, because I know it's in good intent, but it's not public comment, so I just gotta stop you. Go ahead, Justin.
Okay.
But
What
we'll
was your
talk
question?
afterwards.
Did you open that up and blow it out real good?
I
mean, there's a lot of dust in that atmosphere out there, and
Yeah, I know it.
it wreaks havoc on those computers.
I know it, and I know the two guys that did look at it, they kind of cleaned that up a little bit where that board was.
Yeah.
You know, see if that was some of the issue. But what it's saying is that board is actually saying it's not communicating with that, and I think it boils down to something in that board, and that's
Okay.
kind of what they both have assessed. That's the problem. I mean, like I said, I got a hold of about 10 different places that repair those boards. Nobody can do it except for about one, and they're in Maryland. I can take the shot of it.
I think we give it a shot. I
Okay.
think we're gonna always face, because of the dirt and the water
Yep.
situation that we have there, I think we're always gonna,
Yeah.
The other problem I've heard and run into talking to a lot of these guys is that was put in 1999. That's what the dates are on it. They're surprised that it's even in service anymore, because they say those electronics and everything in those normally don't even last that long.
Yeah,
You-
but it's hardly ever been used.
Yeah, most of
I
those
know it.
use theirs.
I know it, and that's also what I told them. I was like, our counter doesn't even really have much on it. You know,
Yeah.
I can't remember what it has, but which is why we're trying to look at just repairing it.
well, I would think that if we can do that for under $1,000 to
Okay.
at least take a
Yeah.
I got enough.
chance,
I got enough in my operating.
then
to cover
let's do
that, so we
and
can do that
If
if-
it doesn't do it, then we have to go
Okay.
down a different road.
That'll
Give it a
Unless
shot.
something comes back with the ADA law.
Since we're
we can actually
discussing
shut that.
ADA, Kim, you want to tell us about your building?
I just wanted to mention that our whole basement is not ADA accessible. So down there where the
Mhm.
kitchen and everything is not accessible for ADA.
You
And
don't, yeah, you don't allow the public down
But
there,
the
do you?
public is not allowed down there.
that's why I brought it up, is you guys discussed that with him closing part of his public building.
Well, does the public do research down there, though?
Sometimes,
In the vault, right?
yeah, we do have
Okay.
records in the vault. And
Okay.
we also have people that come to do presentations to the employees, and that's where they use that area down there for like insurance and that kind of stuff.
I hate closing off public buildings. It's like closing a public road. I don't think that's right.
So
But
I just thought,
we'll look at it and see what you come up with. But you're right. I do.
one other issue I wanted you guys to be aware of is our ADA lift from one floor to the other does not pass ADA compliance restrictions for elections. It's not wide enough. But they've always given me a waiver on that because it was already in the building.
Wow.
Just wanted to let you know.
Okay.
Okay, well, maybe we have bigger issues than what we thought.
Maybe.
One of those cans of worms that you don't want to
Sorry.
Okay, so any other questions on the stair lift? Okay.
Check that, and Ian, you check that, and then we'll make a decision on where we want to
Okay.
go.
They told me it's maybe about a week turnaround once they receive my board, so maybe it'd take
Give
a
it a
couple
shot.
weeks and, okay.
Give it
Sounds
a
good.
shot.
The other thing I wanted to kind of bring up and see what your guys' thoughts and ideas are is we were thinking about putting some sort of a painting in there to kind of spice up and spruce up that by the handicap entrance, kind of a
Sure.
mural or something up on the wall. I have got in contact with the high school. They may possibly be interested in doing something with us where we pay for the supplies, and then maybe we can have the high school art class or something come in and do that. I'm still waiting on their word back. They're going to talk with the student body and all that. I did reach out also to see if that's not a scenario, who else we might be able to have come in and do that if we were to hire it out. If we do hire something like that out, we're looking at a pretty big expense. They cost anywhere from like $22 to $37 a square foot. The one lady that I was talking to, she said she would approximate it about 28 a square foot with our kind of what we're looking at. So we could be looking anywhere from, I don't know, $5,000 to $10,000 if we do that whole wall above that meeting room, which is about 300 square foot of space. If we do every inch of that, we're looking at about 10,000 on that figure. So I don't know if you want me to look at that and maybe put a
I don't
budget
think it
number.
has to be, or I'm going to speak for myself here. I don't think, I mean, that just came out of mural. I think anything, it could be, I mean,
It could be advertising banners.
it could be an American flag painted
Yeah.
up there. It could be just what kind of creativity do you want? Because it's so bare, so plain, so barren. It just looks,
No, I got
Wow.
that. And it was like, you know, if we can do something with like a little rodeo theme as maybe also with something as some of our natural landscape in the background of it, you know, that would be great, whether it
could
be
be
Mesa
something
Verde or.
real easy, just even,
It's just, if you look at that size of space, and I'm gonna have somebody come out and look at it. I got a meeting with someone next week to come kind of look at it and give me a little bit more realistic idea. I just wanted to kind of throw it in your guys' ears to kind of give you an idea. You know, if we go crazy on this, it could get
I don't.
over the top.
I don't think any of our intents were to
No.
go
Okay.
crazy. I
No.
think it was, we've got to do something to change the appearance out there so that it looks more appealing,
Yep.
more inviting.
And then the other.
That's a quick and easy way to do it.
The other part of that was, I mean, is there a budget number that you guys would like to see on that, or would like to put towards that, or?
We're gonna have to see some proposals. I mean, we can
Okay.
hash out some numbers, but,
Because that's kind of what they ask me when I tell them, you know, we want something kind of, this is what we're looking for, then they kind of ask for a budget to see what we're willing to spend, to see kind of what they can do, I guess, for say.
Cost of the paint.
And I might be able to barter some things, I don't know, you know, with advertising and whatnot. And I might be able to go down that road still. And I still got the high school I'm working with to see if I can have them do something, us pay for, you know, a few $100s worth of supplies and let them do it.
doesn't you have a art, it's like an art, I'll get back to you on that, because I think they have.
Like a class or?
It's not a class, but they have a,
Guild?
yeah, something like that, I
Kind
mean,
of a
that.
club or something,
Mhm.
or an organization.
Mhm.
I don't know.
One that did that organized the one on the barn out there, on the small barn, the beef barn.
I think
Oh,
that,
that was
that was
That
Team Up or something.
That was something totally different, but.
yeah, and this is something I can kind of do kind of close to the same of that, where I can get an artist to come in, you know, maybe draw it, collaborate with the high school, let them come in and paint most of it, and then they come back and detail it. That's kind of some of the stuff I'm going to talk to them about next week to see kind of if we can, the details and the exact numbers and whatnot. But like I said, I just want to kind of throw that in your guys' ear and let you know that's kind of where I'm looking. So I'll see if I can
Alright.
get something back from one of them. Other than that, we're working on painting some things out there, working on painting our doors right now. Trying to make them look a little nicer, and just doing some winter stuff. So unless you guys got any other questions for me, that's all I got.
We're good, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Is
Thanks, gentlemen.
cereal soup?
Cereal soup?
No.
Oh, fairgrounds
Okay.
related questions.
I'm
yeah.
gonna make it. All right, so, we have the approval of the 2022 budget.
By now, all of you have hopefully reviewed the budget many, many times.
Yes, sir.
And so it has been posted, it's been available online and available in person here for the last 2 weeks. So the first thing that we would need is the passing of Resolution 17-2021 to approve the budget.
I move we approve Resolution 17-2021, approving the budget for Montezuma County for the year of 2022.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept resolution number 17-2021, a resolution adopting a budget for Montezuma County, Colorado for the calendar year beginning on the first day of January 2022 and ending on the last day of December 2022. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then following that, Commissioners, we need a resolution to appropriate the sums of money by fund for 2022.
I would move that we sign resolution 18-2021, a resolution to appropriate the sums of money for 2022.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept resolution number 18-2021, a resolution to appropriate sums of money for 2022. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And that will conclude the budget portion.
Okay.
And James may have had to run an errand, so
I'm
while
going to go
Ian's
ahead
giving
because
his
I know
report-
Commissioner Stevenson needs to get out of here, so I'm going to let him do his report if you have anything to report, and if not, then we'll finish the meeting. And
We had a big week we went to CCI's winter conferences and went to a lot of good meetings up there. I learned a lot. It was very educational. Met a lot of good people and look forward to working with all of them for the next 3 years, and that's about it. We were up there all week, and it was a good conference. So,
you want to do yours next?
Sure. I also was up at CCI, attended a drought conference up there and also a conference on aging. And one of the things on aging that came out of there is in this next year, there's probably going to be more seniors over the age of 60 than there are people aged 18 and under in the state of Colorado. So we might have to look at the way things are balanced around it. Other than that, I attended a meeting yesterday, Shaq and I, with the municipalities, and also Rico sent down a representative, their town manager, and also Lindrith Wall was from the tribe, had a good meeting yesterday.
For the breakfast?
Yes.
Correct.
Good. Very good. Okay. All right. Well, then, if you need to, we'll let you take off.
I apologize for having to leave a little early.
And we'll jump back up. Well, I see you came in, James. I'll go ahead and we'll move this around. So come on up.
Dance. See you later, Joel.
Okay, afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'll try to keep this kind of brief, but I guess two of the things that are kind of going on right now are related to floodplain. We've got two floodplain development applications that are, I shouldn't say they're in process, but we're at the verge of that. We've got a cabin that's up the West Fork that looks like they're planning to do some expansion on it. Luckily, they're in the AO category, and that will help them a lot. They don't require all the engineering calculations and everything on that. So I think we've got that lady squared away on that. They're planning to build another house there. And so I'm working with an architect out of Telluride on this. So for the existing cabin, that thing is sitting virtually in the river. So nothing we can really do about that. That cabin is what it is. They want to expand that cabin. They can do that, and we'll help them out with the floodplain development application for that. They would also like to build another house. So that is, again, not a problem. However, the question of the 100-foot setback is coming up, and of course, I kind of led them through the process to tell them if you guys really are serious about asking for a variance on this, please justify it based on something, physical characteristics of the land, the physical layout of the lot, something along those lines. Basically, what their justification is a better view. So, I kind of, they've got the right to come in and state their case, although I kind of gently tried to tell them that probably a view is not a very good justification. So, but we'll listen to anything. So just be aware that this may come in. I'll kind of try to help work them through this and help them think this through. So that one should be a piece of cake. Relatively speaking, there's never an easy button on any of these, but hopefully this one will go pretty good. The other one is a septic permit, and I think we've kind of worked this through also, through the health department, and that is one of kind of the concerns that I've got is when we do put in septic, if it happens to be in that floodplain, they should come in and get that floodplain development permit before the health department issues a septic permit on that. So I'll work with health department on this and make sure we've got our process in place. Obviously, it's a two-part process always. They come in, they give us the engineering specifications. We'll review that. As long as the engineer has stamped that and said this is the way it's going to go, then no problem. We just issue the notice to proceed. The second part of that, though, is that they need to come in and have the engineer certify that it was installed correctly. And as a part of that, FEMA is getting really kind of stinky about the photographs, so I'm beginning to ask for photographs on that. So we'll just make sure we comply with FEMA in every way we possibly can, and just document it that way also. So I think we're working through this one. We should get them all squared away on that, and I'll just make sure the health department knows how this process works. I'll talk to Bobby Locke about this and make sure she knows also. So, and I've already sent this out in email. I think it's going to be pretty clear on that one. We'll, we should be able to bring this into compliance and get it squared away. So that is kind of the main thing going there. Then past the Mesa Verde, we're still working to see if we can negotiate with the state land board on that one. That is going to be our sticking point, I think. State land board still does not seem to agree that the trail is part of the transportation system. They really think it's recreation only. So, I'm just going to continue to work with the land board. We may request a hearing before the entire board and try to make our case on that. I think, that apparently they've had some difficulties with this in the past over in Durango. I keep getting messages from CDOT 11 years ago. They went through this process and it was terrible, blah, blah, blah. Well, that was then, this is now. And, they may have gotten it wrong then, so we may need to really be very aggressive in making our case at this point. Because I think that, if they're asking us to come back and ask for a new lease every 30 years, that is not something we're interested in. We need this permanent. So I will continue to work with that. They also are raising the issue with the BLM. The BLM wants this trail as much as we do. So I don't think there's an issue there. If it takes one permit or it takes 5 permits, we just go through the process and we'll just handle it. I don't think there's a lot of fees associated with any of the BLM permits, so I don't feel like we're got our tail in a crack at all with the BLM. And I did talk to them today, and I again came away with that sense. So I think we're good with the BLM, and hopefully maybe the BLM will come and give us a little hand with the state land board too. So. So we'll continue with that, filling out quarterly reports for the MMOF. So that should be done here pretty quick. So I think we're moving along pretty good on that. And I'm still working through the edits on the CWPP, but that should be done relatively soon also. So I think, other than that, I think everything's moving along pretty good. The one thing that I do have on my mind is making sure that we get the BLM in here to give us an update on where we're really at with that process for the grazing permits out there on Canham. It's been virtually nothing from them for several months now. I'm getting the sense that we're behind schedule on that, but I have not heard that from the BLM. So I'm going to put special effort to get the BLM in here for their next scheduled meeting and see if we can't get an update, find out where we're really at with that. You know, we've been out to investigate, and you probably heard this from Jim Spratlin, I think, so I don't need to really go into depth on that. Out there investigating, you know, the pile out there at Ironwood. We'll continue to track on that and try to pull up as much information from Montezuma Water to give us a good sense about what kind of access to water we have out there. In terms of the water line sizes, flow rates, things of that nature. I think we're in pretty good shape. What I'm hearing, we may have a 12-inch line out there, an 8-inch line, and then service to Ironwood is a 3-inch line. And it sounds like it may be as much as 100 gallons per minute. And I'll meet with Montezuma Water tomorrow, get the drawings, and we'll be able to bring that in and map it and make sure we know where everything's at.
It's really not a lot of water.
Yeah.
100 gallons a minute when you're fighting that.
For a fire like that,
size of a
no,
fire,
that's just a,
not.
yeah, you could be out there peeing on it and be about the same, you know, it's
An inch
about,
and three-quarter line will put out 150 gallons a minute with one guy.
yeah,
You need 1,000, 1,200
Yep.
gallons a minute.
correct. And within the property, we don't know where everything is at, so everything is mapped up to the meter. Beyond the meter, they have no records on that, so we don't know what's out there. And it may take, you know, we can figure that out. Those guys can go get line locates, and you know, that's on them, of course. But we can figure that all out. So, and I'll just, you know, kind of fit in wherever I can help and make sure I'm available. So, anyway, I guess.
You know, it's not specifically so much the water, but you know, like our facilities, they're required to carry so much AFFF. I wonder if we could make that a requirement for the those type of facilities if they have enough
Moving
Class
forward
A.
in the land use code, I think we could.
Not AFFF, but excuse me, Class A foam, so that if they do get a fire in that type of a pile, they actually have a Class A form that will absorb and go into it to be able to put the fire out and extinguish it instead of just smoldering. Because right now with that Class A foam, our fire departments are not going to have enough collectively between all of them to even start. But maybe it's a conversation we need to have with the fire chiefs to see if
Well,
we can't
and as
create
this
cash.
Salter Y easement cut expands, there's likely to be more of these businesses that pop up. I think it's smart to think ahead.
So between Aspen, Wallwood, Ironwood, well, I guess it's Aspen, Wallwood, and Mancos too, but
Yeah.
create some kind of a cache that where we have enough Class A foam that, you know,
We had a pallet at one time and thought we were really rich on foam.
yeah, we need about 100 pallets.
Yeah.
And a place then to store it for that. Just a thought. I'm just, because the mitigation measures don't seem to be happening near as quickly as would like them to.
Right. Some of this is kind of operational planning too. You know, I mean, you know, it appears they have a lot of scrap logs laying around out there, pretty substantial. You know, some of those are probably 6 foot long. You know, probably, you know, what, up to 24 inches in diameter. Some are pretty big. You know, and where you pile that stuff really makes a difference. You know, when you go bring the rest of that sawdust and that stuff over the top of it, well, it really makes things bad. So, you know, just pre-planning, knowing where you're going to put the sawdust pile, where you're going to put the log pile, and don't intermingle them, you know, that'll help a lot right there. You know, cleaning this mess up now at this point is going to be much more difficult than having those things separated to begin with. So, you know, some of that pretty easy stuff to figure through and hopefully just kind of, you know, head this off in the future. So.
Might get with Spratlin and see if we can create a cache.
Yep. So, you know, as Shaq pointed out, I think we are going to see, we hopefully are going to see more of these businesses spring out throughout the county. And, you know, it'll help us out. You know, this is a good trial run and getting getting some experience here, I think will be helpful for the future. So we just stay on it as best we can.
Yeah, we toured that plant up in Buena Vista,
Oh, you did?
and it was a sprinkled building, but I think if I remember the plumbing right, it was 3-inch line, but that was city water.
Mhm.
And I don't know what kind of pressures they were using.
Well, it would be much greater
60,
than 100
70
gallons
pounds.
a minute.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that they could, upgrade their tap too. I don't know what it would take to go from a 3-inch to a 4-inch or even to a 6-inch or something. But they've got main lines that run right by them. So there probably is that option that we could at least explore.
Sure.
So. Anyway, I think this problem looks solvable. We just got to work together at trying to come up with the best plan to move forward and implement it as quickly as possible. Yeah. Okay, I guess that's about it for my week. It was kind of a rough week last week, but we're back in the saddle and we're moving forward. So.
All right, thanks, James.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go back up to unfinished business. Shaq, do we have any unfinished business, or do we take care
I
of it all?
don't that I can remember. Granted, I was gone most of last week, as were you,
All
so.
of us were, so.
If we do, I'm unaware of it right now. Kim?
I'd like to talk about some unfinished business if I could.
Then
Get her did.
go right ahead.
Okay. So I just wanted to report to you gentlemen, a couple weeks ago, we had a couple gentlemen stand up from the audience that wanted to talk about recounts for the county and the election system. And the time frame for that has passed. It was November 30th that they could ask for that recount. But in the meantime, I have been given reports from Montrose County, Clear Creek County, Larimer County, Garfield County, El Paso County, and Jeffco County. And all have done recounts, and they've all become back basically 100% correct. Those questions that were reported were questions of ballots that were discussed during adjudication, and the judges made determinations on those. So I just wanted to let you gentlemen know about that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kim. So they came back just as they were originally?
There was one group that had candidates where there was one vote that was sent one direction and one vote that was sent the other direction, but the results were exactly the same. So there's been no change in any results in the state so far. The Mesa County, I should have reported this. The Mesa County recount, they've gone through the regular recount, and my understanding is they've completed the hand recount, and then they're going to have Clear Ballot do another recount on the same ballots as well. I haven't got the results from the hand count, but I will soon, and I'll let you know.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, then. Ian?
Yeah, so a couple things to report. As far as our land use violation cases, the property on Road 21, went down with Shaq and visited that property. Great progress has been made in terms of getting that cleaned up. It looks way better. In addition to that, they came in, they paid their road impact fees. They got an application to get started with Don on a plan unit development to get authorization for those additional houses. So they're following the process. Good progress has been made. In light of that, the trial has been continued to February. So it was going to be in December. It's moved to February. This will give them an opportunity to go through that application process. The trial's still hanging up there. It's not dismissed. The case is still live, but that's where we're at with that.
But we can dismiss it if they get it all cleaned up.
Absolutely.
Which is all we wanted
and
to
that's
do.
really the goal.
That's all we wanted anyway.
If we can get that place completely into compliance, then there's no need to have a case. And certainly that's going to be that's the goal. If we don't need to utilize the court and use the court's time and go through the litigation process, that's an ideal world. And so that's what we're aiming for. So certainly a positive report there. We've got the second land use violation case down south of town. We did get a complaint filed that we did achieve service of process in that case. The process server did talk to our office, and he said that it was pretty rough down there. He said he just as soon not go back there. So just to give you an idea of how significant that property is in terms of being out of compliance. So right now we're awaiting an answer from the property owner. He's got 21 days to get that submitted to the court, and then that process will move forward. So as far as our land use cases, that's where we're at with those two. The Road Y case, we filed an answer in court last week to their complaint after our motion to dismiss was denied. And so now that case will start to move through the system. We'll get a trial management order and then move forward. But as of now, the court hasn't set any dates. So that's where we're at with that case. The landfill, to get the restrictive covenants on the two former landfill properties out there. We did get the title commitments done. Those are up at the State Attorney General's office. I did talk with the State Attorney General attorney involved in that case. She's going to look over those title commitments and get back to me with the next steps. She's going to get back to me next week. So that process is moving along. Really the next step is we'll notify surrounding landowners of the restrictive covenants that are going to be put on, and hopefully we can get that wrapped up early next year, but certainly making progress there. Ironwood. Talked to Shaq and visited with Mr. Spratlin and Mr. Haley about the progress on that sawdust pile down there. And my understanding is very little progress has been made. It's a huge safety concern at this point, and it's really unfortunate. It sounds like it hasn't moved along nearly as quickly or with as much urgency as we would like. Certainly, the ball's in our court as in terms of how we want to move forward. What I would suggest to the commissioners is that we send a formal letter. I'm happy to draft that letter to Ironwood, and I think it's important that they provide us with a written mitigation plan. They've said they're going to do it. They've promised us they're going to do it. We continued their public hearing to February with the understanding that they were going to get that to us, but it has to come soon and it has to come now. So what I would recommend, certainly it's up to you guys, but one possibility would be to get that letter sent out and request a mitigation plan by early January. So we can get something into writing.
We requested the mitigation plan earlier.
Yeah, and so I know that they have made requests. A formal request has not.
I think we gave them a timeline.
I'd have to go back and watch the video to answer
Okay.
that specifically, but
yes, definitely.
I'll get a formal letter drafted, and I think it would make sense to get that sent out because this is a significant issue for several reasons, and most of all safety. And so,
and I think that it really is a safety issue. If you look, this is the 2019 Google Earth imagery. There's no pile there, and then you can see this is 2020. This is 2021. How it's grown. And not only is there sawdust being pushed out, and this, commissioners, is roughly about 3 acres worth, but they've put all these piles of logs underneath it, which creates basically a ventilation system for air to get up in there. And when we were on site, me being Jim Spratlin and myself and Assistant Fire Chief Kim from the Dolores Fire Protection District, yesterday, we dug down about a foot, and with the tools we had, we couldn't dig down further than that. But about a foot down, it was give or take 90 degrees. It was, significantly hotter than the ambient temperature. And my concern is 3 or 4 foot down, it's hot. And having worked with this material extensively in my career, I can assure you 3 or 4 foot down, it's much warmer.
So I think if you're asking us,
Yep.
I think my answer back to you would be that, yeah, we definitely need to stay on top of them and keep it moving
Okay.
because something's going to happen there.
Fair enough.
And then we're going to be.
My concerns even at this point, Commissioner, would be that unless they're very carefully probing ahead of where they dig out to mitigate,
Yeah.
they may accidentally
Start a fire.
get some air in there. So I think it's got to be a well thought out mitigation plan.
And so I'll get that letter drafted and sent, and certainly I'll provide you guys with a copy before I send it off. But that's the next step. There were some questions from staff members circulating about what to do in these situations where there's just non-compliance with some of these high impact permits that have been issued. Per the land use code, when you look at the land use code, one of the county's duties is to periodically review these high impact permits that have been granted. And if they're not in compliance, or if certain conditions are not being met, those high impact permits can be withdrawn. And if that happens, then there's no valid high impact permit, and then you've got a situation where a property is out of compliance with the land use code, and there can be significant court action taken. So that's really that's the process when we've got properties out of compliance. So I think it's just important for folks out there to understand that these high impact permits aren't like it gets granted and then it's just go to it forever. You can do whatever you want. There's certain conditions oftentimes, and those have to be met. So I would just remind everybody in the public and people who are watching today that just because you have a high impact permit, that doesn't mean that high impact permit's not going to be reviewed by the county and looked at, and because really that's what the land use code prescribes. The one other thing that we need to talk about in regards to Ironwood, there was a request for the hearing in front of the Board of Adjustment. I did get with the attorney that's representing the campground and discuss some dates. There are a couple different ways that we can do it. I initially talked to him about setting that hearing after the new year, early in January. What he got back to me with was an idea that it might be best to set that hearing out into February, after Ironwood's date in February in front of the commissioners for their high impact permit request. And so that's really up to you guys. What you guys have to understand is if we set it out into February, that does prolong that process. And so if we set it in January, then that starts the time ticking on the clock, so to speak. And so there's not really an intrinsic disadvantage to setting it out into February, but that's a decision that ultimately you guys would have to make.
What is the time frame? How much time
So
on the clock does it have? 45 days?
There's no time frame on this Board of Adjustment, but after the Board of Adjustment hears the case, then the order is considered final. And so then there's a 90-day time frame after that they can appeal for judicial review. And so really what it would be doing if it's set out into February is it would just start that 90-day clock later. The advantage from the commission standpoint would be that in the event that mitigation's accomplished and some of the concerns are alleviated, it's possible that hearing might not even be required. I mean, certainly no promises have been made. That hasn't even really been addressed. But I think it's important to understand that conceivably, if the mitigation's done, there might not even be an issue. So I just need some direction in terms of when you guys want to set that hearing.
Yeah, I
Okay.
don't have an issue waiting until February.
Okay.
on that one.
Sounds good.
It's 30 days, but
I think that makes sense. So I'll get back with him. The dates that he had talked to me about were the 15th or the 22nd of February, and so we'll get together and we'll get that out and go from there.
Would it make sense to the commission since you'll be going out of session as commissioners and coming back in as the Board of Appeals, would it make sense to throw that in a 1:30 time slot when you're done with your morning?
sure.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So that it's yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
It's like the Board of Health.
Okay. Sounds good. So I'll get that process moving. Other than that, no further updates to provide. I think that's kind of where we're at.
Very good. All right, Shaq, you're next, and I know you had a couple.
I've got a couple of things. The
Things.
first is approving the payables for, my screen just disappeared. Okay, my screen's back. For October 2022. And again, keep in mind you've already approved the social services portion of that budget. So but still we have to approve the whole payables. And I do have the check registry if you want to go through that.
Okay. I move we approve the payables for October 2021.
And I'll second it. So it's been moved and seconded to accept the payables for Montezuma County for the period of October 1st to October 31st in the amount of $4,164,896.02. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioners. And then I've got some transfer orders that we need to do. The first one, Transfer Order 7/2021, is to move $2,750 from Road and Bridge to Capital. Apparently when the auction happened, everything was deposited into Road and Bridge Fund, and the vehicles that were not Road and Bridge vehicles that were General Fund, those should have gone back into Capital to cover fleet replacement, and that's what that was.
Motion to accept order number 7-2021.
And I'll second it. And it's been moved and seconded to accept order number 7/2021, a transfer of $2,750 from the Road and Bridge Fund 002 to the Capital Fund 004 to correct a deposit error. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next one is a transfer of $2,748.50 from Public Health to General Fund. This is again to correct a deposit error that was made in early 2020 that was revealed by the audit.
Again, I'll move to accept or transfer order number 8-2021.
And I'll second it. And it's been moved and seconded to accept order number 8/2021, a transfer of $2,748.50 from Public Health Fund 003 to the General Fund 001 to correct a deposit error. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now we're going to move money back the other way from General Fund to Public Health, just to keep everything good and confusing. I think both of you are aware, and I put in an email, so Commissioner Stevenson should be aware too, but the county is obligated by state statute to pay into the Public Health Fund a minimum of $1.50 per resident of the county. And we do use DOLA's population count, of course, for they're now based on the most recent census, but DOLA updates their spreadsheet every year. So based on that, and Montezuma County has always chosen to pay the minimum of $1.50. Of course, the county could opt to do more. That would be up to the commissioners, but at the $1.50, we are required to do, based on the population, we would need to move $38,779.50 from General Fund to Public Health.
Move to accept order number 9-2021.
Second. It has been moved and seconded to accept order number 9/2021, a transfer of $38,779.50 from the General Fund 001 to the Public Health Fund 004 for the 2021 per capita calculations. DOLA estimates that population of Montezuma County to be 26,183, and the actual count is 25,853 times $1.50, again for the amount of 38,779.50. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, and then of course I was at CCI with all of you last week. I really enjoyed the tour of Fading West, and I'm hoping that we have similar facilities built here in the near future. We're continuing to work with that. And had attended the same meeting and the inspection of Ironwood. Everybody else has already given my reports for me, so I think that'll conclude my report unless there's questions from the commissioners.
I don't have any.
Nor do I.
All right.
Okay, well, I think then did you finish all of yours, Ken?
Yeah.
For your report?
Yeah.
I think I've given a lot of my report. I wanted to address the road situation and the culvert because we really do know how to put culverts in properly. I think that's been addressed. The Fading West tour was great. That's just a 20, what did he say, 25 to 27 million dollar facility for the manufactured housing, which is great. I hope they do decide to put one here in Montezuma County, and that we'll work with them.
Well, whether they do or not, I would like an air hockey table where I can play with 6,000-pound pucks.
Yeah.
True, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I'll show you.
Attended CCI, a great conference, actually. It was really good. I think it was well attended. There was most everybody there in person.
Yeah.
Went off without any glitches at all. Got to moderate my first class. First time I've had to do that. A little bit different, but it was good. Actually enjoyed it. And then I took off and went and got my daughter married, and that's all I have for my report. Oh, no, I do have one last thing. I did take a phone call, returning phone calls this morning, and this has the issues for the SRS funding for schools. I will address the board of Dolores to make the corrections at their school board meeting Thursday night. She asked if I would go there. Apparently, it sounds like there's some confusion and that we took money away from them. I explained her the whole situation and how that went down, and that we actually had a conversation with all three superintendents sitting in this room. And she said that she pulled it up online, she understood it now, but I will go address the board Thursday night.
And you're
in
talking
Dolores.
about the school board, not the town board?
The
Right.
school board.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's all due to SRS funding.
Okay.
Apparently, and there's some confusion between the superintendent feeling that we took money away from them when it's discretionary funds, and we had a conversation with all three of them in here of where we spent the other 50% that's discretionary. So I will get some numbers from you, and I'll go address the school board on Thursday in Dolores.
Okay.
And that will conclude my report. Okay, with that,
Motion to adjourn.
and I'll second it. It's been moved and seconded to adjourn this December 7th meeting. All those in favor?